Hello, hello, Leo. Welcome to your February 2019 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a sun, moon, or rising Leo. And if you are new to my channel, hello and welcome. Thank you for subscribing. And so this month I'm doing readings completely different. I'm going with a bunch of decks that I just have sitting in front of me. I'm not using anything consistent. This is also not a structured reading. I'm picking 10 cards and then I'm just going to read that way. So I hope you enjoy it, and then I'll get back to my usual structured readings for the coming months. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's start with the truth bomb for you. Freedom does not come from a checklist. Okay, so this is just encouraging you to kind of feel into the empty spaces, feel into where you'd like to experience a little bit more freedom, and see how can you create that. Creating things that are overly structured might not be a good it just might not be a good fit. So feel into where you need more or less structure, and that's really how you can cultivate more freedom. And even though this card doesn't say it, you can find freedom in boundaries that you set for yourself. So just I'm getting that you want to pay attention to where you need more of that. Okay, but let's go ahead and just get into the reading. I'm going to start pulling and reading, and then I'm going to go back over all of them and kind of give you the gist of it. And then, and then I'll check the bottom card here in a minute. But first thing, we have the Two of Swords. So not totally being certain, not being able to see everything right now, which is okay. And we have Strength. This is your card, right? Personal will and power. We also have the King of Wands. This is your card as well. So a lot of strength and just being able to get things done, having the energy that you need. We also have the King of Swords, independent thinking and clarity of mind. And then we have the Page of Wands. So doing some evaluating. Now this is interesting. Up to this point, I think that so far February just looks like you have a lot of energy to get things done and make things happen, so long as your focus makes sense for you. Because if you don't have a focus, then this is going to be really hard to execute. You might be identifying a little bit more with the King of Swords, which is just about figuring things out cerebrally and conceptually, being able to do that first before you take action. Some of you are going to be more aligned with the King of Wands, which is the get it done, make it happen, act now. So whichever side of that spectrum you're on, it looks like those are basically the two ways that it could go. So I think that these are not showing up together. I think they're more of like you're going to be resonating with one or the other. Now, the way that you can actually feel into what you want or where you're heading is to notice what has been missing or what are you needing, and that's what the Two of Swords is reminding you to focus on. It looks like any challenge or obstacle is just kind of gonna slide off your back this month. There's nothing particularly sticky about any of this. And you have the Strength card, which is just showing that you have all the resources, all the things that you need. It looks like any problems can be easily remedied. I'm going to clarify the Strength card to give it a little bit more context. We have Judgment, so making decisions. I think that February is going to bring a really clear, aligned focus. That's honestly the best thing that I can say about this is if you're feeling confused or restricted or like you're uncertain, that's going to be going away in February. There's always some uncertainty, right? So there's no way to totally dissolve that because we need the unknown. But as far as what you're going through internally, if you're evaluating, you're going to be able to see super clear. If you're not asking yourself the questions of what do I want, where am I headed, what am I doing, how are my actions aligned with my values, then it might be a little bit harder to take aligned action. So you just have to make sure you're taking a microscope to the things that may or may not be functioning the best for you. Let's keep going with the reading. I have the Six of Swords. Sorry if the lighting is a bit off. I'm filming at night. And then we have the Eight of Swords. So boundaries, feeling confined and uncertain. Then we have the Ace of Swords. And then Seven of Cups. Lots of options. And the Queen of Wands. Okay. So let me check what's on the bottom of the deck. I have the Knight of Cups is sitting underneath here. Really, all of this is going to be highlighting what it is you need to move away from. And I know this might seem really repetitive, but the reason why that always comes up in readings is because the cycle of death and rebirth is always happening. Like, think about it. It's happening just within your body with the cells that you have, right? Cells are dying away and cells are being reborn. And so the same thing is happening in the external. It's also happening on the internal as well. And when you're doing this evaluating or feeling into where your intentions are going or your actions are going or your focus, your mental space is going, when you start looking at that, you're going to start to notice what is happening, like what things are growing, and more than likely it's where a lot of your attention is going. And so that's where the Six of Swords is like, okay, if you're heading in the right direction, then stay course. And if you're not heading in a direction that makes sense for you, then you're going to want to make some adjustments. It's not good or bad. It just is what it is. And the Six of Swords is a real blessing for you because it's giving you that opportunity before anything becomes solidified, right? So if you're wanting to adjust your career a little bit, you have the opportunity to do that before things become totally grounded and set in stone. If you are, and at the same time, it's like if you feel really good about the action that you're taking and where you're going, then you have the right recipe to get closer to that and make big progress this month. So it's working for, and this is going to be, it's going to apply to whatever context you're really dealing with right now. So if there's something specific that you're working towards, this is highlighting all of that. Now the Eight of Swords is kind of like the Two of Swords in that it's about not knowing it, but this is also showing some restriction. So let me see, I'm going to clarify the Eight of Swords because it's sticking out like a sore thumb in this reading. Strength. Okay. It's an illusion. That's what the Eight of Swords can sometimes represent, and that's how it's showing up for you. Any obstacle or thing that's in your way, it's like there's always a solution. It's one of my favorite books. If you haven't read Conversations with God, you should. It's really, really good. But they were talking about financial struggles, and then God says, you think a bill is like too much for me to handle? Ooh, I can't take care of that bill. I can't solve that problem. It's too much for God to handle. And this is that. It's like anything that you're dealing with on the earth plane, while yes, it's really frustrating and annoying to be dealing with like bills or unforeseen expenses or issues that pop up. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get past those things or that there's no solution. But you do have to be really in tune with just being oriented towards a solution in order for it to come your way, right? Because it's like if you're closing off or writing off anything being possible as far as a remedy to the solution, it's going to be really hard for it to get to you because you can simply shut it off, shut it away. So just make sure that you're really noticing in your body where you might be filling in the blanks prematurely or already assuming that things aren't going to work out. That's all you. That's all internal, because anything you're dealing with in the material world has a solution, or it can become easier. You have to know that in your bones. And if you don't know that in your bones, then that's where you want to start. Now, the Ace of Swords is kind of like that new inspiration, and this is showing up as problem solving. So maybe there is an issue, there is a barrier, there is an obstacle, whether that be something that lives within yourself or something that you have to navigate in the external. You're getting the downloads and the information that you need in order to move beyond it. So this is just looking like the remedy to the Eight of Swords here. And then the Seven of Cups is options. So lots of solutions, lots of different directions that you could go. And I also want to remind you guys, I get a lot of questions like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? And there isn't a wrong path. Like that, it simply doesn't exist. Like you can get farther away from what feels in alignment with you, but that doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. It's just something that you're on a path no matter what. So any values that you're putting on them, that's all you. But if you want to know, am I on the right path or am I doing the right things? Then the real question to ask yourself is, do you feel good? Are you feeling the way you want to feel? Those are better indicators of whether or not you're on the right path. There's no like rule book for how you need to be spending your time on Earth. That's not up to anyone else. That's all you. So don't forget, you're not going to make a wrong turn somewhere. Things are unfolding and manifesting exactly how either you're cultivating or they're happening in a way for you to remember what you need to value or what you need to do in this lifetime. So everything is working for you, even if it feels like things are really not. The other piece here that I want to remind you of is that there's a bunch of different places where you could be putting your energy, so it's up to you. There isn't a clear-cut thing to be focusing on this month. It's just about what you want, and the Knight of Cups is here to remind you that. Be open and honest and vulnerable with what you're wanting in this lifetime. And then I'm going to clarify the Queen of Wands. We have the Page of Cups coming through. So it's similar to the Knight of Cups in that you have that vulnerability, but also there's something here about believing that more is possible than what you might suspect or what your adult mind might be anticipating. It's kind of like you want to go back to that childlike infinite possibility mindset, and that's what's going to give you energy to take action, is by not looking at 50,000 ways that things could go wrong, because while yes, things can always go wrong and there's a bunch of possibilities for that, there's also a bunch of ways that things can really go right. And the child doesn't know of all the things that could go wrong, and that's where we can really learn from having a childlike mentality sometimes, is that, you know, you can really capitalize on using more of that to bring back some vitality just for your own well-being and your safety, your mental safety, so to speak. Because it's not good to just focus on how things could go wrong. You wouldn't even leave the house if you only focused on what could go wrong. All right, and then we have mentorship Find your own soul teachers, show, don't tell, do your work, and be a guiding light for others. So you don't have to have it all figured out in order to be a healthy model for other people. Okay, and the show, don't tell. It's so true. Okay. And then we have sensuality. Try a tactile approach, cultivate the tingle, follow suppleness and attraction, honor the kundalini energy underlying the work, release any shame and feeling the thrill. So really doing things that are good for your body, I'm getting is vital this month. I'm going to pull one more of these for you. Hunger. Examine complacency and recommit to your passions. Take this opportunity to stretch yourself and find sustenance. New gusto and gifts await within the challenge at hand. Okay, so there's definitely value in this challenge or this experience that you're having at this time. Really use what it is that gives, or figure out what it is that makes you hungry, and that can also be something that can stimulate taking action if you're feeling lazy or like you're not productive or like you don't have any energy. Okay, then the animal card for you is beetle. Huh, how interesting. I'm getting that this is more of just making things consistent. There's something about this that feels very much like the Hanged Man. When I pulled it, it was like, oh, you want to just stay on top of the actions that you're taking, be really clear about just putting one foot in front of the other and being consistent. That is going to be the best thing for you at this time. If you're wanting something long-term, you have to remember that it requires patience, and you're going to have to be really consistent in those actions that you're taking. Okay, and then I'm going to pull an Affirmators relationship card, and if you don't care about love readings, these will still apply for you. It's just a fun deck, and it focuses on interpersonal relationships. Okay, we have warmth. I focus on warmth and let it guide all my interactions. No matter how others behave, I choose to respond warmly. With warmth, I can melt any icy exterior. I can soften any hard feelings. I can microwave any pizza. Today, I adopt the saying, kill 'em with kindness, and turn myself into a warm and loving serial killer. Okay, so just being more compassionate for yourself and others this month is going to help you. Remember, it's going to help you. It's not about other people so much. It's about your own well-being and your own state of mind. Okay, I'm going to pull one of these, then we will do a 3-card pick. This one, opportunity. Okay, nice. If you're looking for an opportunity, you can expect that. You just might not know where it's coming from this month. Because you can see the opportunity, how it's shadowed out. So you might not know. You might not realize. It could have something to do with work. It could be a relationship. Could be something else. Just know that the opportunities are coming and they're in abundance. Now we're doing a 3-card pick. You're welcome to select a card that's calling to you. Sorry, I have to put them closer to the bottom so I can actually get them off the table without screwing everything else up. So ask a question, notice card 1, 2, or 3, whichever one feels best for you. Okay, card number 1, Knight of Swords. Face your fears, confront, even if you're scared, even if you don't know what's going to happen or how things are going to pan out. If you do not challenge yourself and you don't push against the fear and that natural instinct to not take risks or not do things that make you uncomfortable, you're really holding yourself back and you're doing yourself a disservice. Please challenge yourself, because all of the things that you want are on the other side of confronting that fear. Card number 2, we have the Magician. Focus on creation, so it starts with you. And that is true. Once you take responsibility for everything that comes into your space as an adult, right? And please set aside like being, I'm not talking about like when something really catastrophic happens, but like think about the people you're surrounding yourself with, your job, the stuff that you have coming into your space like that. Take responsibility for all of it, the good and the bad, and you're going to start to see a shift in what you're focusing on and what you're attracting. Because if you take responsibility for all of it, then you're actually empowering yourself to surround yourself with healthy people, get that better job that you want, make those new friends that you've been wanting to hang out with. I mean, start thinking about where you can be actively putting your energy to create things that you are interested in, rather than just being complacent in what you already have. So you have more power than you realize. Just it's time to claim it. And then card number 3, we have the 4 of Swords. You need to rest and take a break. Burning the candle at both ends probably isn't a good look right now, so make sure you are taking time for TLC just for yourself. Okay, and that it's kind of like, this is the answer. The answer is rest. The answer is sleep on it. The answer is, you know, take a breather. Step away from a situation. Don't think about it for 5 more hours. You want to find a way to pull yourself away from that. Okay, my friends, that is all that I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this reading. I know it was way different than usual, but I'll be back to normal here shortly. And don't forget, if you want to work with me one-on-one, all of the links are in the description box, whether it be an intuitive counseling session, a tarot spread, whatever. Thank you for subscribing and sharing and liking. If you are wondering which decks I used, they're listed in the description box. And if you want love and relationship readings or weekly sign-specific readings, those are all on Patreon. Okay, so that's all I have for you. And until next time, have a beautiful February, everybody. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.